We're now going to listen to Daniel Domscheiberg, who told me, am I supposed to stay all day to wait until I come up? And is that place far away from everything, so I will get spoiled or...
Yeah, I know.
And so we said, no, you can go away whenever you like to, but please come back when you're due to speak. So here he is, Daniel Domscheiberg.
Actually,
you stayed on? Did you stay on?
yes, that's what I was just about to say.
Ah,
so
very good.
it seems like at least some of it was happening here, and it was enough for me to stay. So
very good.
I didn't really say it in the same way that he said, but anyways. So thanks a lot. I'd hereby, in the beginning, like to allocate 3 more minutes because I'd like to give an answer that was questioned before in respect to the Google glasses. Actually, whom of you has ever read the terms of services for their cell phone operating system? That's what I kind of feared. And who is using Android as a cell phone operating system on their mobile devices? Okay, so and how many of you are aware that about 2 weeks ago Google got a new patent, which means that they will be able to use environmental circumstances, environmental conditions for advertising targeting. So if you're wondering what the use would be of a cell phone that will allow Google to know that you're maybe in a subway or that a car is honking while you're walking by, what kind of use would that be for advertisers? Because usually when you're on the phone, you can't see anything. Now that's when 2 weeks later the glasses are announced, maybe you can add 1 and 1, and then you'll find out what the real use for these glasses will be. But just as an introduction, which has nothing to do with my talk at all, so this talk will be focused on transparency, on whistleblowers, and a couple of these topics that are being revolved all the time in the media right now. So, as an introduction, I'd like to speak a little bit about where I come from, what I'm motivated by, and what my interest as a citizen and as a consumer and just a human being on this planet is. So you'll understand why actually these topics are interesting to me and why I think actually all of these topics should be interesting to you. So first of all, I come from a technical world. I'm an open source guy. I have been an open source guy for a very long time. And I come from a world where we share knowledge. So the access to knowledge, the access to free knowledge for everybody, and the ability to share that knowledge with everybody else is what is driving my world. This is how I grew up. I've never had much of a respect for copyrights or anything like that. I can be totally frank about this, because I still believe that whatever you share, you always add a value, whatever it is. Now, in that world, freedom of speech is one of the most important topics because it gives you the ability to talk about what you think you should talk about. This is in a world of social media that we've heard about a lot about today and all of that. It's vitally important that there's no one who can restrict what you're going to say because it's your choice and you should have the freedom to say what you want to say. Now, in that world, another very important factor is access to communication and information. Now, how do you make sure that people have actually an unfiltered access to communicate? How do we make sure that people in this world, as long as they have IP, are all created equal? That they get access to this wonderful network that we call the internet, that they can communicate and there's no one to judge if what they say is valuable, if it's interesting or whatever, but that they can do what they want. So this is the mindset I'm coming from, and these are kind of the topics that I was involved with for a very long time. Now, why is all of this important to me as a human? And this is for a couple of reasons, and one of them is that I hate waste. This is, to me, wasting things is appalling to the intelligence of the human being. We're throwing stuff away because we all ignore that it's limited. Whatever we have is limited, maybe other than the sun, which ultimately is limited as well. And a few other things, but most of it is limited and we shouldn't ever waste anything because it's an appall to our intelligence. And I believe that we have a lot of potential. So when I was a kid, I was very lucky that my parents used to take me for traveling all over the world. And wherever I went, I saw all these incredible things, and I was always wondering how much potential there is, because people are intelligent, they are creative, and people are, I think, by nature, have the potential to be good, to do something constructive. And this is the potential that we as humankind have. Now, I'm firmly sure that this potential can only be used, even remotely be used, if we make good decisions. So we are required to take good decisions in order to get anywhere at all. And lately, at least during my lifespan, as long as I follow the news and things, my subjective impression is that the quality of decisions we take is kind of decreasing. It's not like we're very intelligently going along the way that we're developing the world. So what do we do about all of that? And this is how this whole topic of information and whistleblowing comes in. Now, I personally do not ever want to be supporting anything that I deem is wrong. Now, when I buy clothes, I don't want to buy them from someone that has produced them in a sweatshop with children. I don't want to wonder if the meat is rotten or has been grown in a non-sufficient manner. If I'm involved in anything who's dumping toxic waste in front of the Ivory Coast and causing people to get sick, and I don't want to support people that are going to war over resources, that are killing civilians or anything like this. Now, this is a choice that I have taken a few years ago, that I don't want to support something that I deem immoral. Now, the other side of that coin is supporting the people that are telling me about these things, so I can take a good decision. And this is why I have decided to support whistleblowers, like, for example, here Brigitte Heinisch, a very popular German whistleblower, or Mr. Manning. I'm not sure how many of you have heard about him. He is the alleged whistleblower for the collateral murder video, and he's one of the few heroes of our time, a very young, intelligent man that allegedly took the decision to do something, and he's facing his life in prison for this. He's been tortured, he's been held in circumstances that are completely inhumane. But yet, not too many people have heard about him, and he doesn't have the lobby he deserves. So he needs a lobby, and this is why I'm here and I'm speaking to you and I'm trying to convince all of you that this is important. Now, the underlying problem of all of this is that, first of all, we are experiencing something you could call global complexity. Now, what does that mean as a human? It means, for example, that I don't know how many of you have seen the movie We Feed the World, but it comes quite good with that story about the rainforest we've heard today. Every time today, because I have seen that movie and somebody made it transparent to me, whenever I feel the urge of eating a chicken, and I really like eating chicken, then I know that most of the chicken I can buy in the EU were fed with soy that is grown on soil where rainforests have been destroyed. And this is not because it's the best soil for soy, it is because it's somebody's business plan. And because we have taken a decision to go about how we feed our chicken that was not really intelligent if you look at the global picture. Now, another problem is that we live in a world that is kind of overclassified. So we're making a secret out of basically everything, especially in the business world. And this is not because these are all very important secrets we need to protect, but this is because if more people knew about the soy problem, they might not eat chicken. And so they would take different decisions, and this might disturb somebody's business. So we're overclassifying this world to make sure that you and I and everyone in this room cannot take the most intelligent decision, but we're just taking decisions according to somebody's business plan. Now, I think this sounds all terribly desperate right now. It's not as bad as that, and I'll get to that in a minute, but I hope you understand what I'm aiming at. We need more sustainable models for the way we are running this world. And we're suffering the consequences out of this overclassification in two respects, actually. First of all, we cannot take the good decisions we would need to take. And second of all, and this is where probably a lot of your concerns come in, we cannot protect all the information that we would like to protect or that we have classified as protectable. Because from a technological perspective, you cannot protect information very well. You can try to, but the more information you try to protect, the more unlikely it is that you succeed. And in this respect, overclassification is a bad strategy. So I think you should pragmatically focus much more on the real few things you need to protect And you should let go of all the other stuff and, I don't know, build up your credibility, the level of trust in you because you're more transparent and these kind of things. Now, what is whistleblowing in this whole field? It's first of all something that a Glockenläuter, I hope I've pronounced it better than yesterday, is doing. You have a word for this in the Netherlands. It's good you have this concept. In Germany, we never had a word for that other than the denouncer, the informer, the rat, something like this. It all sounds terribly negative. These days, we're working on a word, and it might be something like the Alarmschläger, so someone ringing an alarm, sounding an alarm, similar to the guy sounding your bells here in the Netherlands. Now, these people do this because they want to tell about a dishonest or illegal activity, or a wrongdoing that needs to be revealed. Now, it's important to understand that it's not all about illegal activities. A lot of this is about a subjective understanding of something being wrong. Now, something can be lawful and still be wrong. And in the same way, you can do something that is unlawful but right. So whistleblowing is a lot about a subjective judgment that somebody is taking and that he decides to expose. And that act of whistleblowing usually is very specific. So I'm not trying to advocate the wholesale of information here, the wholesale leaking of whatever kind of secrets we have. But the act of whistleblowing that we need to support in society is very specific because it is an informed and well-regarded decision to blow the whistle on a very specific matter. Now, a question that usually comes up out of that is if everything should be public and if this is what I'm trying to advertise here. And it is not. Whistleblowing has nothing to do with anti-secrecy. I believe that privacy and secrecy in this world are just as valid and just as vital and important as transparency and openness. Without privacy and without the right to secrecy, we would probably end up in some kind of a fascist regime where there's no room for the individual anymore, where we cannot be ourselves with all the weaknesses we have and all the deficiencies. So there wouldn't be no room for the individual, and we have to protect that as well. But it's all about balance. This is what this whole topic is about. It's about balancing, meaningfully balancing secrecy versus transparency. Now, why would we need internet platforms to do that? So this is quite a big question that especially people from the media do not understand. They think we've been here for decades. Why don't just all the whistleblowers still come to us? And why do they turn to internet platforms? This is because, first of all, the internet is easy. So whatever you do, it gives you the feeling that you're anonymous, that you're pseudonymous in some way. You can leak information or blow the whistle on something with a few mouse clicks. It's much easier than thinking about what journalist you could trust, whom you could turn to, what newspaper might have an agenda to publish the information that you hand over to them, all these kind of things. Second, the internet is connecting the dots. So this is what is very important about this whole topic, because we can use the internet to connect to each other, and in the same way we can use it to connect to that kind of information. So it is bringing all of us closer to the information that's vital to us. It can also protect whistleblowers through anonymity or pseudonymity. So we can use mechanisms on the internet to make sure that people cannot find a whistleblower or cannot punish him for what he is doing. And this is a very, very important fact in this whole scenario these days, because we need every single whistleblower, and usually these whistleblowers have not been listened to by the people they turn to in the first place. This is where all of you or the organizations you're working for come in. Whistleblowers usually don't turn to an internet platform or to the media or somebody else in the first place. First of all, they want to speak to someone in charge who can change something about the wrongdoing they perceive. And usually, I'm not sure how many of you are working for an organization that has a whistleblowing policy, but most organizations don't have that. And I'm really wondering why. This is a wrong approach. Now, this is where maybe the perspective can shift from my citizen perspective to a more leader-focused perspective. So what is the benefit for you as leaders or people running an organization? And that, first of all, is that any kind of secrecy you have or you keep up in your culture will over time corrupt your frame of reference. So the frame of reference is what enables you to take a decision. It's your value system, it's the rules around you, and all of which is enabling you to take decisions. And the more secrecy is involved here, the more likely it is that this frame of reference, that your decisions become corrupt over time. Slowly, but steadily. That's something we've been perceiving with all the cases we've been involved with. Now, what does that mean? It means that corrupt and bad decisions that are being taken, and corrupt is not a monetary term here, it is about wrong decisions, just to make that clear, they kill sustainability. Because at the end of the day, your organization over time will not be taking the best decisions. It will not be heading in the right direction, but it will become slowly over time corrupt and malfunct and not sustainable anymore. So you can blow the whistle supporting sustainability. And this is what I'd like to bring across as a perspective for everyone engaged in a business here. You can use these people, and you actually need these people to stay honest and to make sure that your operation can continue over a longer term. So whistleblowers, first of all, they care. We're living in a world where constantly people are complaining that the people stop to care. We're complaining that people are not civilly courage anymore, that people are looking away when they see something happening that's wrong, that's illegal or whatever. But we send those few people away that are telling us about it. We don't protect them. Also, whistleblowers are subject matter experts, so they're usually people that are very closely working with what they perceive. They are the experts in the field, and you should always listen to these experts and not some people that are just making policies or something like that. And these people can keep your operation honest. They can make sure that whatever happens in your organizations is good, is of high quality, or at least you can get the feedback that it might not be of such a high quality and that there might be at least something to think about. And as such, these people, from my perspective, are invaluable assets for any kind of organizations as well as the public. And this is what you should treat them like. At the end of the day, this is what it boils down for me to. At the end of the day, we all, whether I as a citizen, a consumer, or whatever, we all need good information in order to take the right decisions. Because this is the only thing that will get us anywhere at all. And if this getting somewhere is what's on your roadmap, then you should think about that. So I think we need to move from a world where we have a default of secrecy, where we're trying to keep everything secret that's possible, to a world and with exceptional transparency for a few things that we deem that can be transparent, to a world that is transparent and that makes exceptions for a few things we really need to keep secret. And in that respect, I think we should all try to imagine a world that doesn't shoot at the messengers that are trying to tell them about what's going on, that are trying to tell the public, the citizens, or even the leaders of this world what's going on, but we should protect them and appreciate them for what they are. And we should imagine a world in which decisions have a much higher quality than we have today. And if we all imagine that, and this is the key to this whole theme that we have here, if we all imagine that, it's going to be tomorrow's reality. Because we're not speaking about the laws of gravity here, we're speaking about laws that we have made for ourselves. And there's no reason why we cannot change that without going down or without losing whatever it is we're doing. So in that respect, thank you very much. And I'm around, I'll be open for questions, and yeah, thank you very much.
So this is a plea out to escape from our own mental prisons. Is there anyone who considers himself or herself as a whistleblower in a certain period in his or her life? Did anyone here blow the whistle once? Can you please tell a little bit about that? When did you blow the whistle and to what effect?
I won't say where I was at the time, but I will say the situation.
Yeah.
I was working on a project, and it became apparent to me that the company that was building the software was doing a lousy job of it, to put it bluntly.
Yeah.
And it was leading to a lot of extra costs for the organization. And I thought, okay, I'm going to do the organization a favor by telling them that this is what I've observed. So this is a subject matter expert who is looking at the situation saying this is just not going to work. And I went to my manager and told him, and I didn't hear anything about it, so I started trying to blow the whistle more loudly. At a certain point, I was told that I would lose my job if I carried on trying to blow the whistle, because one of the higher managers was responsible for the extra costs. So yeah, so maybe I was a coward, but I decided to stop whistleblowing at that point. And when I hear about this Bradley Manning and I see the reality on the ground, I understand why people aren't more whistleblowers, because a lot of the times you will just suffer the consequences. Yeah.
Okay. So you didn't fully blow that whistle. You started blowing the whistle, and then you
The cowards are the people that didn't listen to you.
So let's see, what sort of questions? Let's glue them together. What sort of things are... I'd like to know what Open Leaks is different from WikiLeaks. So there's a new approach, and you're doing that.
Hi. Although there is a lot of transparency through the internet about products and how, for instance, how food is made, GMO and all that stuff.
Ingredients.
Nobody's doing anything about it.
Yeah.
So I agree with whistleblowers, but what do you think people will actually do eventually? Because nothing is done.
Yeah. Even if we know, we stay stupid anyway. We eat the wrong food, we know the ingredients, we still eat it. We'll get some more questions if possible.
Okay, well,
so
we're collecting stuff.
Slowly whistling, even if we know we make wrong decisions anyhow. Anyone else? Yes, please, here, and there's someone popping up over there. Please stand up.
Hi. As humans, we're animals. Have you ever got any evidence whether it happens in the animal kingdom?
Okay. Do the animals make it a better job of this? So is there whistleblowing in animals? Yeah, please. And transparency and that sort of thing. Or are they sneaky and secretive like we are?
Actually, it's much simpler than that.
Yeah.
I'm questioning where do you get the energy to do what you do? Because I respect it very much. I think you. I almost stand up to applaud you.
Yeah.
Because very important. But where do you get the energy, and where do you? Is there a business model behind this that you can keep on doing this?
Yeah. Well, what?
Hey, no. Perfectly valid
what
question.
the heaven?
So.
Yeah. How do you eat? How do you eat and behave like this? Yeah. Okay,
right.
Because if you could make your daily bread out of this, you might consider becoming an idealist too. I might get into this business line too, but I need some bread and butter. No. Yeah, the energy. Okay. Yeah. Okay, how can I support it? Yes. Okay.
Okay, so let's.
So now we
three.
bought all the CDs of the singer, and now we. Anyone else adding to this? Because I'm going to turn around and ask for a bonus track from.
Okay.
Yep.
So we'll start with the animals because we can build from there to your question. So the thing with animals is, I'm not a biologist or something, but as much as I understand, they're much more driven by instinct, or even just driven by instinct. So there's not this free will kind of stuff that we have involved, where an animal would never hurt its environment in the same way that we are hurting our environment. You cannot hear of an animal that would destroy its own soil or destroy planet Earth that it nurtures from. So the whole question of how much an animal needs to blow the whistle on something is not so relevant, because the world is much more functional in the animal world than it is with humans. So I don't think that you can translate that same concept there.
It was already in the whale story.
Yes.
The whale story that we looked at.
Yes, and in lots of other stories. Now, in respect to people, so how do people react to the whistleblowing and to more information? I agree with you that we're not developing very rapidly to a world where all these things change. But if you look at what's happening in the last, 10, 20 years or so, with the move towards more clean energy, the anti-nuclear movement, people that are aware about organic foods, people that want green clothing, all of that is a tendency. And I think the question is just, and when will the market be ready to provide all of that to people that can afford it? So right now this is too much of a luxurious thing, but I think it doesn't have to be that way. And I think it's just a matter of time until this changes. And if it doesn't change, we're going to run into some completely different problems anyways, because the way we live, as much as I have heard everyone here speaking about growth, growth is not sustainable in the long term. So there's no alternative.
Where do you live on, and how can we support you?
Now, I do these events, so this is one thing I do for sustaining myself. With Open Leaks, everyone that's involved, we found a model of how we can sustain. Some people are working half-time jobs or something like this. I've written a book, so that is supporting me a little bit. And on the other hand, there are possibilities we're looking into to have Open Leaks properly funded. So with donations, foundations we could potentially work with. But this is all future music. So right now, if what I had to say is interesting to anyone, I'm perfectly happy to come to your place and speak about it, and that's how you can support me or others I'm working with.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks.